From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between. This is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by National Scouting Report. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go, and we're back. We're live from beautiful Moody Gardens here in downtown in Galveston, Texas, here at the 2023 TASCO, Texas High School Soccer Coaches Convention. My next guest, I am joined by the coaching staff of the McKinney Boyd girls soccer program. I am with Coach Elias Ramos as well as Kristen Meadows. Coaches, how are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm here. I'm here with you all. I'm here with great coaches. We're talking the game. We're talking convention. I'm excited. Thank you for being here. So tell us, how's it going?
Oh man, it's been a lot of fun coming out here. I think it's always just a good time to get soccer coaches around each other, and a lot of times you don't really get to talk too much besides the one maybe time you get to play, and 5-10 minutes you get to talk to them before the game. And
right
now it's just fun to sit around and talk everything else and get to know each other a little bit better, where you don't have all the competition kind of looming over you too. So
correct. Coach, how about you?
Yeah, it's just great to meet everyone from all across the state, because usually we're just with the people, in our district, in our region. So we don't really get to see everyone from really far away. So it's awesome to see everyone come together.
Yeah. Now, I know you mentioned you all were here last year as well, correct? So thoughts on last year before we dive into this year? Thoughts on last year versus this year? Anything?
I thought the convention was really well run last year.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of big takeaways, but I feel like they've done an even better job this year. It's the variety of sessions they've given this year. I think it's been really cool. They had a goalkeeping session, they had the strength and conditioning, so kind of adding some pieces of programs that are really important that don't always get a whole lot of like a spotlight time and a lot of So that's been really good.
Excuse me. Awesome. Yeah. How about you, Coach?
Yeah, I think it's great. Last year was my first year coaching ever, so it was completely new to me. Came into this, didn't really know anyone. So this year, coming back and seeing familiar faces just makes it even better. Yeah.
All right. So general thoughts on this year. Has there been maybe one big standout to you? What's been the big thing that's been the big takeaway so far? We're a day and a half in. What's been the big takeaway?
I really like the session that we just did with the kind of building triangles. I thought that was really good. That really applied well to kind of what we do and how we focus on things. And you talked about controlling space and how, a lot of times the kids are so focused about the ball, but they're not really worried about the space. Whereas, the game's about controlling space.
Correct.
And so I that's some kind of similar way to how we try to run our program. And so that was a really good one for me, and I thought he did a really, really well, good job out there. That was probably the best one I've seen so far. So,
thoughts for you, Coach? What do you think?
There was one session last night I really liked. It was a defending in a low block session, and I think he just did a really good job talking about how they really need to come together as a team and use each other to defend. And you can't just have one person go and everyone else just kind of looking around, expecting him to do all the work.
Right. So, yeah. Awesome. So now you were obviously, Coach, you were presenter here this year, right? And I know I did get to see your speech as well at coaching school. You did a great job there as well, your presentation. Give us a little bit more insight as to what you presented here and how you thought that went.
So we talked about using the third player to bypass pressure. So a lot of times, you play especially in midfield, it's very congested. I think one of the big things is we get players and they try to roll their marker all the time. They try to turn into pressure all the time. Lots of turnovers in midfield that can be avoided. So we're trying to give them solutions so that we can still play into that pressure, but they have a safe way out of it. So kind of playing into a higher player. So kind of 2 steps forward to go 1 step backwards. But when you go the 2 steps forward, that player's facing the goal. So it's hard for them to go and attack. But when we set it backwards to a player that's facing forwards, they're now in a position to go and attack the goal and threaten the goal. to ask questions of the defense. So that was kind of our basis on like our idea of what we wanted to do. You kind of referenced my talk at THSCA.
Yeah.
I got a lot of emails asking specifically about how do you train the third man? How do you create those patterns? And so I thought that would be a really good topic for us to talk about this time, and something that we do a lot in our program.
So that essentially kind of led you into this particular topic, right? That one?
Yeah. And it's been a big focus for us this year within our program. We spent a lot of time in kind of like our foundation phase at the beginning of the year, talking about, using the third man, not turning into pressure so much, because, while we would love for them to check their shoulder and, really by the time we get them at 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, a lot of those habits are already so deeply ingrained that we're trying to find solutions for them that are meeting them where they're at.
Yeah.
But yes, my kind of topic from the summer, that was one small piece. But then I got a lot of questions for it. So I was like, well, this is something people want to know more about. So I thought it'd be really good to bring it out.
Did you get any feedback, immediate feedback today?
My buddies are all like giving me a hard time.
Yeah, those don't count, right? Those don't count. Yeah.
And then we kind of left straight for lunch after, because that was the last session leading into lunch. But
smart man. You present and then you take off.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, that's how you do it.
But I think the best thing about this convention is everyone's so supportive.
Yeah.
So, they came by and people told me good job, and they really liked what we did. And, I think that's the awesome thing here is, everyone's just, man, you did some really good stuff last year. It looks like you're going to have a good year this year. So that's really cool just to see the support that people give, everybody.
Now, as coaches, we always reflect on our sessions, right? Our training sessions. What would you grade? You look back on it. We can always tweak it. We know we can always work on it a little better. How would you grade yourself on today's session?
Oh man.
Being honest. What would you say?
I think, not knowing the players,
right.
Taking that into account, not knowing them, not knowing where they play. I would say a 7.5.
Yeah.
It could have went better, but I thought it was pretty solid. I think
7.5.
Yeah, 7.5.
That's like on a 10, not a 100 scale, right? Okay, good deal. Let's just qualify that, right? Yeah.
7.5 out of 10. But no, I think they got better as it went. I think the first two parts of the session went really well. I felt like they were having a lot of success. And then towards the end, when we went to the bigger game, and I feel like this is always our battle as coaches. We paint the pictures really clearly for them, and then we go into like almost a game, like actual game situation. You're like, where did everything go that we just worked on?
Oh yeah.
So that was the piece I was like, man, I probably should have stopped it, adjusted it a little bit more. But even in there, I felt like they were doing a good job of trying to do what we were asking them to do.
Yeah. I can't tell you the number of times where we had, we've been working on something right with my squads in the past. We get to test day, as I call it, right? The game test day. And it's just like, I'm talking with my assistants. I was like, man, did we even coach them this week? Where were they? Right. So yeah, I know how that goes. So what about you, Coach? What do you think, Kristen? You had to grade him. I'm assuming you got to watch it, right? You got to watch his full session. Yeah. You're writing them up the whole time. Right?
Taking all my notes. No, I think it was great.
Yeah.
She helped me today, so she helped run the
session. Oh, you were in it?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
I was there.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of the talking, but yes, I was there helping. Because like he said, he doesn't know these guys. They've never done these drills before. So I was just there kind of, if they needed any additional, like, where am I supposed to go now?
Right.
I could help them out. But I think overall it went really well. Just like he said, I'm going to kind of brag, but he's the only high school coach that actually is coaching high school right now, teaching a session this weekend. So I think that's awesome. And I think that shows a lot for him.
Absolutely. Now, I'm just curious from your role in today, and you're kind of taking it all in, right? You're in between as well. What did you learn from it? What did you take out of it? Did you have a particular moment in that session where something hit you, where you kind of had maybe an aha moment, or something that is like, this is a big takeaway even for me?
Just like a lot of like every single detail, because like you kind of get to know your team and get comfortable with your team, and they kind of learn you and know what, they know what like you want. But going to like a completely new team, like you got to explain every single thing. So I'm just kind of like taking a step back and being like, oh, I need to fully explain this or else they're not going to get it.
Right.
So.
Okay. Awesome. Well said. So, Coach, we shift here a little bit. Let's talk about your program, right? McKinney Boy Girls Soccer Program. Obviously, you guys had a tremendous year last year. So, you look back on last year. Maybe what's one or two key takeaways from last year that can propel you into this year?
Last year, we had a phenomenal group with some fantastic leaders. But I think that the kids that are still here from that group, I think they learned a lot about resiliency and trusting the process. We came into the year with a lot of buzz around our team, and we had a big target on our back, and we faced a little bit of adversity early in the season. Yeah. So I think at one point we were like 6-4, and everyone was pegging us to be competing for a regional final spot or a state tournament spot, and so. To fight through, there was a lot of what felt like pressure, I think, and I think a lot of times we as coaches and players, we feel more pressure than is actually probably there.
Right.
Right. So, but they kept battling and we kind of finally, and it was my first year as head coach. And while I had been there 5 years before, we changed up a few things. And so they just kind of kept going. And so this year we've been preaching a lot, like trust the process. You're not going to get all the success all at once. So that was one big takeaway for us was trusting the process. And then the other one was just, we got into a couple of tight playoff games and just find a way to win. So we talked about that. We have a 1 day a week where, we focus on the tactics and a lot throughout the week where we'll do 4 days of tactics, but then we have 1 day where, we play murder ball. I don't know if you've heard that.
Yeah.
Heard of that game. Yeah. But I tell them, I was like, and they, the kids get frustrated because it's messy and it's sloppy. And so we tell them, I was like, that's when you get to the playoffs, it changes and it becomes sloppy and people are doing anything they can to win. And and so we talk to them about just find a way to go get the result. You got to find, solve solutions. So we'll throw a starting 11 out there and I'll pull 2 players off of there and they're playing 9v11 or, we'll start them 2 goals down. And so learning from last year, that was a big takeaway was, you gotta find a way to, and you can do more than you think. That was one of the big things we told them all the time was you can do hard things. So we tell that to our program this year. So those are 2 big things that we took from last year and are using as, hey, this, these are big lessons, and they're useful, and you can do this year.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. You mentioned murder ball. That's a lot of where I'm from. That's referred to as either maybe freestyle or street soccer as well, right? So but that's part of the game too. Is the creativity piece can come in the kind of sometimes sloppiness, ugliness of it. But and as you know, right, whenever you're in tournament play, particularly the way the regional tournaments are set up and then the state tournament, so much is thrown into that semifinal that the final tends to be very, very ugly, right?
Yeah,
right. It's not pretty. It's not pretty in most cases. So no, that's a great point. I love that. So year 2 together as a coaching staff, it was your first year last year. What was maybe in your first year there at Boyd, what was maybe the biggest surprise to you?
Oh man. So I'd been there for 5 years. So I was the assistant for 5 years before I took over. And I think sometimes, you're sitting there as the assistant and, you're kind of like, you're like, oh, well, why didn't you make that decision? Or why didn't you do this? And, and you're like, well, it's easy to make this decision. And then I'll never forget my mentor. We were talking about something and, I told her, I was like, well, I would have done this. And she's like, well, wait till you're sitting on the other side of this desk and then you can tell me that it's easy to make that decision. And I remember last year, one point, I called her and I was like, I had that moment today where I was like, I told my assistant, I was like, wait till you're sitting on the other side of this desk and you can make that decision. So I think, it's just the weight of the program and, all the decisions you have and how
heavy is the head, right?
Yes.
Heavy is the head.
So I think that was the biggest surprise, I think, was just how much it was. But we were blessed with great kids. We have a real supportive administration. We have a real supportive, campus at the campus level, at the district level. Our parents are awesome. So very, very blessed last year to have the support be able to have that to kind of lean on during those tough moments. So.
You talk about that, finding yourself referencing what your mentor once said.
Yeah.
You find yourself saying that. I've been there, and the closest thing I can compare to that is like maybe, when I became a father, is the first time I caught myself saying something that my dad used to tell me, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like I'm there. I've become that guy. So I can definitely empathize with that. So, what about you, Kristen? Last year, maybe the biggest surprise, the biggest thing that is like, maybe that I didn't expect that, or this maybe it was something that turned out to be a little bit easier than you expected. What was it?
Coming from playing high school soccer and playing soccer my whole life, you just show up, practice, and then go home. Okay. But you don't really think about anything that happens behind the scenes. So I think I was just most surprised about planning the sessions, like everything that goes into it, and like how you want to progress it from week to week, and like everything like that. And then aside from that, like he was saying, like just all of like the parents and like paperwork and all of that stuff, like I had no idea about. It's just like crazy.
It's a lot. And I had the Lake Travis girls coaching staff in here earlier, right? So Will and Emma, and we were talking about how it's just so much that, especially as the head, right? There's so many things you end up taking on that they're not even soccer related, right? But they fall under your head coaching duties, and it can be a lot. So the great ones always try to figure out how they can delegate and empower the assistants and the coaching staff, no doubt, for sure. So we transition here, Coach. We start talking about now this year, upcoming season. Obviously, we're on the eve of entering soccer season, as everybody knows. That's why we're here. But what's the thing that has you maybe most excited about this upcoming season?
Man, this group, they seem to really love each other. And we had a tight-knit group last year.
How many did you graduate last year?
So I had 13 that graduated, and then 2 early grads that graduated in about 3 weeks. So
gotcha.
We lost 15 from that team. So it's a little bit of a reload. But just they're bought in, this group, and I think that they saw. We always talk about you got to get one group to get give them a taste of success, and and the program had been really, really successful for a long time, and then we had a little bit of a lull where we were just trying to get over that hump again and win a few games, and then we've put two really good years together here now in a row, and so I think the girls are now like, okay, this is the standard. This is what it takes, and they're bought in, and so that's what has me really excited. I think these kids get it. I think I have a group that gets it and what it takes, and not just the on the field, but off the field. The little things. So that's what I'm most excited about. We have some young players coming up, and and I told a lot of them. We were very senior heavy last year, so we had a lot of juniors and sophomores that are really good players. I was like, you just gotta wait your turn, and I told them this year I'm so excited because they get their turn now in the spotlight a little bit. They've done the right things for a long time, and it's their turn now. So to get to watch them go out there and get a chance to go and do something and to get their turn.
So for all of you listening out in the DFW area, you'll notice that Coach Ramos said reload, not rebuild. Okay, I'm just going to highlight that. Okay, reload, not rebuild. So no, I'm just kidding. So Kristen, kind of your thoughts, maybe from your perspective, your role, your eyes, does it fall exactly in line with Coach, or what has you maybe the most excited about this year?
From a different perspective, than him, he's very tactical with everything that he needs to do to get to where, and win district, to have, maybe a different route to the state tournament, but me, I just want to encourage them and make sure that they're all having fun, because that's the most important part, is that they're having fun, that they're doing what they love. But like he said last year, our playoff run was not easy. We had a very tough few rounds, but they dug it out and they did what they had to do. So our team this year knows it's not going to be easy, but I know they'll put in the work. So.
Right. Awesome. Well said. So we start wrapping up here, Coach. One final question for you. I love asking this one from time to time, kind of put you on the spot here a little bit, but finish the sentence for me. So the 2023-2024 high school soccer season for McKinney Boyd girls will be a success if...
Ooh. Man, that's tough. Because there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. That's why I ask it. Yeah.
It'll be a success if we stay healthy, right? I think
Good answer.
That's always the key.
Good answer.
Happy and healthy, the 2 H's. So
there you go.
keep them happy and healthy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got asked that, because I'm over at I'm at San Antonio MacArthur now,
Okay.
right? I'm back on the public side, on the UAL side, and I got asked that multiple times yesterday, a couple times today, and it's just like, hey, how's it going? How are you doing? How's your squad looking? And I just told them, it's like, hey, it's how it is year one, the culture implementation piece. But I told them, if I think they're buying in, and if they can continue to buy in, and we can stay healthy, we just might surprise some people. So, but healthy, healthy. I keep referencing healthy as well. So I'm glad to hear you say that. So for sure. So awesome. Well, that's going to do it, Coach. Thank you so much. And as we actually, I got one more thing I like. As we wrap up here, what we've been doing is kind of our stoppage time. So any final thoughts, thank you, shout outs, anything you want to share, we want to go ahead and give you and Coach Meadows an opportunity to do so. So go ahead, take it away. The floor is yours.
I just want to give a shout out to TASCO. I want to give a shout out to y'all. I think that y'all do a great job of promoting our sport, promoting, all the great things that high school soccer brings. I think that there's a lot of people out there that try to discredit what we do. But I think that, we do, it's a great thing that we do out here. And we got a lot of people doing really good things for kids. And so I can't thank y'all enough. Can't thank TASCO enough for highlighting just the great things people do. And then just some thank yous. First I want to thank Coach Meadows here for driving all the way down to Galveston, leading into our break. Probably some, everyone wants to be done on Friday and go and just relax. And she's down here getting better and as a coach. And
exactly.
And then, our boys coordinator. So we're very blessed at McKinney Boyd. We have a co-coordinator position. So our boys coordinator is actually our boys head soccer coach.
Oh, nice.
So lots of support, and he loves our girls soccer program and he does a great job. And, our head football coach down there, he also loves our soccer program. Mm-hmm. So just those guys, want to give those guys a lot of support because we couldn't do what we do. And, we couldn't have the success we had without all their support. So,
right. Coach.
Yeah, same thing as him. Just thank you, to TASCO for everything. I wouldn't have met half these people if it wasn't for last year and this year. And it's just made being a part of this whole soccer culture so much better.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Great stuff. Well, that's going to do it. And we'll go ahead and we'll wrap up with you coaches signing our little background placard here. All right. Obviously, we're having, as I mentioned previously, we have everyone that's coming on the show over the next couple of days. We'll be signing this, and then we'll be actually raffling this off as part of the 50-50 raffle that TASCO is having for the actual TASCO Foundation. So great stuff. So coaches, thank you again for joining us. Appreciate it. And for our listeners, don't go anywhere. We'll be coming back soon with many more guests as we kind of got a whole row of guests that we're going to be interviewing over the next several couple hours. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly.